Okay. Alrighty. Dun, dun, dun. Ah, okay. Oh, and a lamp behind my head. All right, let's do that. I'm sitting down. Hi there. Haha. Hello there, fabric nerds. We're back with our live video. I'm sure some of you were not expecting this today at all. It is a snow day here on the entire East Coast and parts of Central North America. In case you're watching from someplace that is not North America, it happens. It happens. So yeah, we are back in the new year, January 2024. This is the quilting shed out of Fredericton, New Brunswick. I almost said Hanwell. Um, I hope you had a good holiday and it was restful. I could have used another 2 weeks off because you know me. I worked all last week. I did take a day off here and there. Good morning, Heidi. Yay! I hope you survived the snow, Heidi. I messaged Heidi last night. I'm like, that storm's coming my way. So, what's it like there now? Thank you, Heidi. It's like it's what it's like here now is what it was like in Iowa last night. Thank you, Heidi, for sending me that. That's fantastic. Hmm. And you might notice behind me in the shop, I did of course, if we have time off, we clean up, we tidy, we move things around a little. And I promise you, some of the regulars who come in are like, "You moved things again." And I'm like, "I promise this is the last time." Because that was one of my deals over the holidays. I had to move some things that we couldn't move when the shop's open. And it was going to take longer than, you know, after the shop was closed and before we have to go to bed, and keeping in mind our energy limits. Yeah, no captions. Is that a button I can click easily? Um, I don't know. Dun, dun, dun. No, I'm gonna say no. Not right now. Depends on what you're watching. On a rewatch, usually on Facebook or YouTube, you can rewatch this live video with captions. They're super important. Some of us who aren't technically deaf or even have diagnosed hearing issues prefer to use the captions. Anyway, so I apologize. I don't know how to get them running while we're doing it this live. I can stick it on my list. My book is getting full. Uh, so where was I? Yes. So we redid the shop, not hugely. Some stuff for the super noticeable people, like you have moved this 6 inches to the left. Yes, yes, we did. The sales counter is roughly in the same place, but um, the classroom area is back, which means classes are coming. I did get a little behind on those. Um, we had some technical issues. We had some energy level issues. We had some brain issues. We also had the issue of, wow, this is a months worth of tasks to try and do in 2 weeks over a major holiday. Um, so yeah, the classroom is back. One of the things I did was take the long arm that was here in the shop and I moved it down to my house and put it in my new sewing slash craft room. Which, if you saw my house, it was like a game of Tetris trying to move things into one room, but you had to move things out of that room to make space. But there was no room in the other rooms, so yeah, it was just a giant game of Tetris, is what we called it. So I hope you guys had a less busy holiday than I did. I did get to see most of my family, which is great, but nice quiet visits, just enough for everybody. No stress, no big, huge gatherings, no worrying about, oh my God, is the food done on time? I mean, if that stuff stresses you out, maybe revisit and try something different. That's what we did a few years ago after everybody was tired of their mother, me, driving them crazy. Anyway, speaking of mothers, My mother brought me some presents, and I know you all love whatever t-shirt I'm wearing on a weekly basis. I did get 2 t-shirts. I figured I'd start it off with my mom's that she got me custom made. This says Mom established 1987, Little Nanny established 2010. This is when I became a mom. This is when I became a grandma. Right over my heart. Oh, there we go. Hi, Mom. The other thing that my mom got me, my mom's in the comments. Don't you stir stuff up down there. The other thing that my mom got me for Christmas, regulars will laugh, 4 things of Kleenex. Look, Mom, I brought them to the shop. Have I opened them yet? No, but I have Kleenex. Thanks. Anyway, enough about that. For those of you who think I work too much, because I do, some of you know I've picked up a new hobby. The real knitters call it cheating knitting, but I got one of those circular knitting machines, like a knitting loom that's in a big circle, and it's not the manual one. Well, I did get those too, but I got the one that has the cranky handle on it. I got the Centro at a thrift shop. I have been making hats like crazy. I got a lot of yarn from a family member, and I have been using it up to try things. I've been crocheting a little bit too. I got to get back to some of that. I can crochet a lot better than I can knit, and it probably took me a good 2 weeks to get to crocheting something that didn't make other knitters and crocheters laugh. But anyway, I've been making a lot of hats. I've been cranking them out because you literally crank them, ha ha ha, and tying together all those little tiny yarn balls that are left at the bottom of your yarn scrap basket. This is a nice, this was the gray blues. I am enough of a color nerd that I separated all the grays and the gray blues into more gray and brownish gray and gray blue gray, because there was also, variegated stuff in there too, and some blues. So that's how I group them. And sometimes I just literally had a piece of yarn, maybe 3 feet long. I didn't tie in anything like this. I'm not completely insane. If it got most of the way around for a row, that was good enough for me. And I've been, just experimenting. Some stuff is a little wild, but this is one of the hats that I made. They are double layered. You knit a big tube, you tie off the ends, and it's reversible. And you stick one end in the other, and you have, a hat with a big old cuff on it. See? Ding! Dun, dun, dun. It's a dorky looking hat, but it'll keep your head warm. This is why I don't wear hats. And what am I going to do with all the hats? Well, so far, some of my family members have new hats. I have a lot of grandkids. They lose things. So I'm going to send, probably a half a dozen to them, because I have some really funky ones that, and some rainbow yarn they will love. This is the other side. My husband claimed one. My mom claimed one. Carl got one. My grandmother got another one. Dun, dun, dun. The grandkids will each get at least one, like I just said. And the rest of them, I will donate. I don't plan on selling them. This is not a hobby that I'm going to monetize. That's the first thing people asked me was, you starting a yarn shop? Oh, hell no. We have some fantastic yarn shops here in Fredericton, Cricket Cove, and the one over on Brookside, whose name I can't remember right now, starts with K. Go visit them for yarn advice, because as much as I know about quilting, that's how much I don't know about yarn. I know. I do know how to tell the good stuff from the acrylic stuff mostly. But right now I am loving some of the acrylic yarn because it goes through that knitting machine really, really nicely. So that's what I've been doing. That. And I've made some lasagna recently and I brought some for lunch, and it's yummy. So that's that. The other thing I did get, my only surviving grandparent, my grandmother, Mertice, Nanny, my mom's mother, she wanted me to have her sewing machine that is in a cabinet. It is a Singer sewing machine. Her father bought it for her when she got married. So I still need to call her. Yes, I know, Mom. I still need to call her, and get all the details on that, and let her know how thankful I am, and tell her where I put it in the shop in a place of honor, so I can tell everybody about it, and they can all ooh and ah. So she knows that it's well taken care of. Yes, we will take care of your stuff, not your junk, just your good stuff. I have a lot of stuff and I'm still cleaning it and rearranging all my rooms. If you were in my house within the last month, it looks different even today. I know. No, Kruger Cove is closing on January. No. Ah, ah, it's terrible. No. I just found them. Ugh, that's so sad. Well, it's hard to transition to all the cool stuff I want to tell you about next. Jeez. So, before Christmas, since it's January, February, all of the retail enterprises are like, we got to promote Valentine's Day. I was like, geez, give me a minute to breathe. So, one of our fabulous quilting friends brought in a finished quilt to show me. And the part of the reason I love this job is I get to live vicariously through you. I get sort of the experience of making all these fantastic quilts without actually doing the work. I get you to help pick out the colors, pick out the thread, pick out the backing, provide suggestions, some of which you actually do use. Um, so Peggy, some of you know Peggy, and you may have seen this quilt at Guild, but you'll have to come in the shop because I'd have to turn my laptop, and I just don't feel like doing that because I still have a bit of a headache. Anyway, Peggy made this exploding heart quilt, and she did it in reds. She went through her scraps, begged, borrowed. Don't know if she stole. She probably did. Red scraps from all of her friends. There's batiks. There's Kaif facet in there that I can see. There's some metallics, some gold sprinkled in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. They're lovely deep reds and reddish pinks. And she did this quilt. She asked me to bring this pattern in for her. And I had it, but then it was out of stock. So I had to get more because she specifically wanted to make this quilt. And I got it in for her. And in Peggy's honor, we hung up the quilt. I said, can I hang it in the shop? Because this would be amazing to showcase the pattern so people could make it too and they can see what a great job you did. So she's like, okay, fine, if you think it's good enough. And I mean, it's freaking fantastic. And it's quilted with little hearts. Shout out to Gwenda and Eugene for doing the quilting. Fantastic job as always. Lots of good machine quilters here in Fredericton. Like there's like 8 on the list. So if you need a quilt quilted, we have a list of long armors here in Fredericton, and you can even find it on our website right down there. If you scroll down to the footer, it says long armors in Fredericton. Click that link and you can find everybody in Fredericton that does long arming. But in the meantime, if you want to make this, there are half square triangles and quarter square triangles, which are technically not my favorite, but it's doable. I mean, Peggy only took a few months to do this and she's in her 80s. She can do it. So can you. And she did use red. She did use some color catchers. I think she's more of a color catcher person, not a retain person. And I do have the die catchers here in stock and the retain. And she has a lovely deep red. I think we chose the Ruby Kona for the binding and a plain muslin for the back, which you can feel it washed out very nicely. It's the same muslin we have here in the shop. So yeah, Exploding Heart is on sale from now till Valentine's Day for a whole 12 bucks. It's normally 17. That's $5 off. We've got like 4, 5. Inventory says 5. I found 4. That was one of the inventory things we didn't quite get to. We kind of made an on-the-fly decision. We were supposed to do inventory over the holidays. We did get a huge chunk done. We're going to move forward with more of a rolling inventory. But yeah, Exploding Heart. $5 off. It's $12 for that. You can buy it online. Yes, yes, yes. The other thing that's on promotion for this month, since it's January, one of my favorite designers, Jaybird Quilts. I have made this quilt probably 4 times. It's Northern Lights. I've made it in a ton of different sizes, not even following the charts on the back, because once you get the process in there, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll just make it work with everything. It takes the hex and more ruler. If you've always wanted to do something with hexagons or half hexagons, this is the trick. And these are like 60 degrees. If you didn't want to buy a ruler, there is, she does draw the template out in the pattern. So you could trace it onto template plastic and do it that way if you like. And just double check with your 60-degree ruler. So, and the reason I'm showing you all the Jaybird stuff, including her sidekick ruler, we've got some more. I just didn't dig them all out. They're all on the table right at the front when you come in because for January, the Jaybird quilt stuff are all on promotion for 30% off. And yeah, you can look at them on the website. I know. This Giggles quilt, she did it here with a layer cake of 10-inch squares. I went through my scraps one time and I did the cutest version of this where every single colored one you see here was a navy, a plain navy, except one. And one of them I just made red. So in a sea of these blue little, when you do them all in one color, they kind of almost look like birds. There was one lone red one. And I think I bound it in red too. It looked really cute. It was a gift for somebody I worked with. They treasure it still to this day. And the kid is like in school and reading and stuff. That was that long ago. My God, I'm old. Anyway, yeah, so these are all like 30% off. This is the mini Northern Lights. You can see the mini version of this on our famous mini wall. And because of the shop rearrangement and things are nice and neat and tidy, when you first come in and you see the mini wall, the FAF machines are right underneath us because, of course, I am a FAF dealer. You have a FAF question, come see me. You want to buy a new sewing machine? Please come see me. I will tell you all about it. But you could take a selfie in front of the mini wall and hashtag it, I saw the mini wall at the quilting shed. Hell yeah. Because, of course, I'm going to be adding more to it. Yeah, you can see this. Full disclosure, I made the mini of this before I had the pattern because I'm like, well, I'm familiar with the shape. I made it. And it was a good 10 years ago. And I did a sloppy job. I will point out all the mistakes if you can't actually see them, which you can actually see them from across the room. Some of the mistakes are that visible. But I finished it. Oh, well. She has some nice table topper patterns too. I know. This is a decent size. I've made the rock candy one a few times. I was going to run a class on this in our classes in the fall that unfortunately got canceled due to personal reasons. But if anybody's interested in this kind of class because you're afraid of working with diamonds, let me know because I can easily run a class on these because I've also made this one too, the Seaside Runner. All of these look amazing and everything. Julie Herman from Jaybird Quilts, tends to love working in solids. And that is dust. Oops. Yeah, because this takes 18 5-inch squares or a Ziploc bag full of scraps. So that's good. Same with this one. Takes a lot of, I think she used, 5 jelly roll strips for this one. But also, again, scraps, basically. So those are great. Some of these I can make without even looking at the pattern anymore. I just kind of look at the cover and go, oh yeah, I remember, and keep going. It's pretty straightforward after you figure out how to do it. So yeah, the Jaybird quilt stuff, 30% off. And hello to my favorite Diane, my other favorite Diane. Oops. Freudian slip there, Mom. Sorry. I actually have right here one of the Northern Light quilts. I just went through my solid stash one day. I was like, I want to make another one of these to use up some of these solids. And this one's more of a pastel rainbow. I have another one that's done in browns and greens that's finished. And I have her snack time quilt. I actually have 4 quilts that are from Jaybird Patterns here in the shop. One of them's hanging on the wall. One of them's under the table. There's 2 that I pulled out of the back room. They were both hanging at different times. This one still needs to be quilted, but you can see this one's a nice lap size. So if you were intrigued by this and you want to swing by, maybe not on a storm day, don't come out this morning. Maybe wait till lunch. I'm stuck here at least until lunch. I made the decision to come in during the snow day. A lot of things are closed. Some stuff are opening at lunchtime. So we'll just see how it goes. Play it by ear. So those are the promos for January, February. That. I got to look at my list. Jaybird. I had a list in my head and I had a list on paper. The other thing that came in was the new Fireside 80-inch wide colors. The colors are not up on the website yet, but I will do a separate post about them because I think they're amazing. And I will be restocking the Fireside February, but we still have like two full shelves of Fireside. And almost all of the 80-inch that they carry. So there's new colors. So there's still lots of a good selection. The other new thing we got in is the new version of the Oliso mini irons, the M3 Pro. I know, a little bit exciting. So if you wanted to get one of these but were unsure, oh, it comes with its own little silicone iron rest. This one you can actually set it like this. Is one of the big features. You can set it like this. It's got a cute, it's got a light on it. Someone had asked for this. It's got a 2-year warranty. It's really nice and hot. It's got 1,000 watts. That's pretty good. Ceramic sole plate. Easy fill, dual zone steam, pro, auto off. The auto off is very, very handy if you're like me and just forget to do things. I do like the light and the fact that it comes with its own little silicone mat rest. Yeah, so that's pretty slick. I think these are, I meant to look up the price. Do I have them on the website yet? No, you just give me a half a second. I'll just switch my browser tab and you can watch me look at my screen, I guess. Da, 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 da. The other Oliso irons that are coming in, Tula Pink has come out with her branded version of the irons. And I did pre-order those. I'm not sure when they're showing up, but I will have the Tula Pink version of the Oliso irons. And the mini irons are $120. I think that's well worth it for something that's really well built. People love them. I have not tried one myself. I've been using my iron without steam because I took the advice of a long-term quilter that I respect, and she said she never puts steam in, puts water in, and always mists instead. And I just didn't refill my iron one day and just been misting along, and no drips all over the place for starters. Hello, Susan. I haven't seen you since yesterday. So yeah, that's the mini Oliso. The other new things, because the delivery guys, some of them, they caught me while I was here last week because I left a sign on the door. If you have a delivery and the lights are on, please knock. One of them missed me, so he just rescheduled for Monday. So he finally came by. But some of the things that showed up while we were all gone was the Insul fleece, the shiny stuff for your pot holders. And unbeknownst to me, because reasons, I just thought I was getting a 45-inch wide bolt. They sent me 60-inch, and it was at a cheaper than expected price. So the Insul fleece is 60-inch wide. So it's wider than you normally buy. And the sale price for now, at least until these are gone, because I have no idea if I can get this at the same price again, it's $10 a meter, which is kind of nuts for this kind of product. I double checked it. I did. I like triple checked it. I got the kid to like check my math even. I'm like, Snowy, is this right? Does this look right to you? Because because that's $10. Like what? Yeah, so $10 for Insul fleece for a whole meter that's 60 inches wide. So you get a 65, 40 feet, 60-inch by 40-inch piece, because that's a meter, for $10. Like the other stuff that came in, yeah, I did not price this yet. Oh my God. Ugh, the bamboo blend. So it is still your regular batting, but it's bamboo. And it is, what is the blend? It's 50% bamboo fibers, 50% cotton. I have had this before. I've tried it before. That drapes wonderfully. It's about as warm as your 80-20 blend, but it drapes better. If you've had the 80-20 and sometimes you find it's a little stiff, the 100% cotton batting will drape a little better than the 80-20. It's not the quilting. Like people think, oh, you just quilt it really dense and that's what makes it stiff. Sometimes it's just the 80-20 batting. But the bamboo, oh my God, it drapes so nice. And that thump you heard was this bat falling over, this bolt falling over. Tula Pink wide back. the Tula Pink in Cotton Candy. Tula Pink True Colors in the Cotton Candy. So this is the off-white creamy. I know you love it, the small print with like the birds and the sparkles and the stars. This is the wide back. If you've gone all the trouble to make like a Tula Pink quilt, showcasing her fantastic fabrics, you kind of deserve to put a really nice back on it. And we did get one of her backs in, and we will continue to get more in because one of my goals is for certain backings, you've seen them. For certain backings, they are lower in price point, somewhat lower in quality. And for a lot of quilts, yep, you just need whatever just to get her done and get the quilt finished. And lower quality is fine. Just because you didn't pay a lot doesn't mean it's not going to last. It's still relatively decent. But when you want to make like a really, really special quilt, one of the things I wanted to have on hand was some really nice backings. Sorry, they're right next to the battings now. So the backings and then the battings, they're all together out in the back corner. So I wanted to have like a really nice selection of wide backs that were special. Because there's certain designs you can go into almost every quilt shop in this province and every long armor who carries wide backs, and they all have the similar styles. And that's absolutely fine. Sometimes you just want to get her done. Like I got muslin for wide backs too. It's cheap, it's plain, it's fine. But sometimes you just want something special. So that was one of my goals, is to have just a nice assortment of special wide backs for those special quilts. Oh, pardon me. So there's that. Oh my goodness, what's the time? Okay. We're not doing too bad. So the other thing we did a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't even see. Like I hung up curtains, curtain rod. I put up curtain rods and I hung curtains over the big shop windows. So when the shop is closed, I can close the curtains. That partly keeps the heat from going out the windows, and it keeps the heat from the sun from coming in the windows. And it also lets you know that the shop is definitely closed. We put some insulation up along the back wall because the back wall of my unit on the other side is an unheated garage from another company. There's a construction company here, and the walls are thin. So we just insulated. We just did it quick on our own. Like it's easy to tear down. It was faster for us to do it. We had the insulation on hand. Did that. Swapped out some light bulbs. You can see there's one behind me that's super bright now. So we're in the process of changing the fluorescent light bulbs. We set up the classroom area, like I said, swapping out some tables. Had to build a nice counter for the sewing machines, the FAF. So that display, it's staying there. You might see it change over the next few months. Still, we make it look super nice and professional. Yeah, and right behind me here, I put together this rack all by myself, and I did it twice because I did it wrong the first time. I opened the box, I'm like, wow, it's so simple to put together. They didn't even give you instructions because it looks like it's obvious. Not to me. Just one thing I missed. I just had to take out 4 bolts and flip things around and do it again. Whatever. I didn't cry, okay? I didn't cry. Not that day. Can't imagine why I had a headache. So the other story, just to finalize some details, because I just keep telling people the same stories over and over. At least I'm consistent. This is why I'm not a spy. I'd just be like, oh yeah, they told me that last meeting. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Anyway, so the classroom area is set up. We can have 4 people in a class. Also, so days are coming. So days are coming. You just tell me what day you want to show up at this point. We'll try to settle on a regular one. But if you want to come and, pay $5 or $10, 5 half a day, 10 for the whole darn day. You bring your sewing stuff, you bring a project you're working on, you make yourself comfortable on one of these tables with the chairs. We hang out all day. If you have a question, I'm here to ask, but you've got the use of the cutting board. You can use my tools. You can pick my brain. Honestly, it's a quilt shop. Everybody gives everybody advice, but they usually ask for it first. We're all nice and polite about it. So yeah, if you like to sew and be social, Swing on by. Are you crazy enough to swing by today? Probably not. So the other thing is some people have missed this because a lot of people were in over the last couple days are like, I heard you had a sale on Metler thread. Yes, yes. The Metler thread rack and all the thread in it I got from one of the quilt shops that closed. A lot of the stock is old. The rack is extremely heavy and difficult to move and takes up a lot of space for the thread that is in it. So I am clearing out the Metler thread. It is fine thread. It is decent thread. It is great for everyday sewing for your what and for whatever you're learning to sew and piecing. No problem. It is all 100% cotton. Some of it is 50 weight. Some of it is 40 weight. It says silk finish on some of the purple spools, but that just means it's finished silky smooth. It does not mean it's silk thread. So the small spools are a whole dollar and the big spools are $3 and going fast. You have to come in the shop to get them. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to get the Aurifil thread rack, the official rack, the big rack with all the spools of thread on it. That thread comes in sections and I can do a combo of what I want and what I would like to narrow it down to because I have goals for the shop, places I want to be, and we are so close. Yeah, it's great. Finally hitting all my goals. This is fantastic. So I want to carry the big spools of the Aurifil 50 weight with the orange spool ends. The big everything I have now is mostly in the big spools. And people generally sometimes want their extra colors in a small spool, and I totally get it. And sometimes they want a couple of different things. So if I get the big rack, I can do that. I can have all the neutrals in the big spools, and then for the small spools, a whole ton of colors to choose from. And then you can just get a little spool of colors, sorry. So that is what I would like to do for that. And all the thread now is all in one section and all my thread color charts because I've gotten in one-offs of other brands and a few other threads that I like to use. Hey, hi Mary from Lockport. I actually know where this is because I had a friend who grew up in Lockport. I know. So Mary, when you went, just because I'm thinking of my friend today, her last name was Mackenzie, if you know the Mackenzies. She tells me about winters going to school, and their winter coat was a Mary Maxim sweater, and she would pack her lobster sandwiches. So yeah, that's the fun memory of hearing about Lockport in Nova Scotia. Buckle down, storms are coming. I hope it's not too windy there. So we do have also the glide threads. We have the big spools and the little spools, and the thread racks are right very visible where you can see them. That will continue. I actually have some Metler polyester that I brought in a little bin because I personally like to piece with polyester. I have switched all my piecing on the FAFs to a large cone of Aurifil cotton just to give it a good test. I kind of want to see how long that cone of Aurifil will last in a quilt shop for sewing because I do a lot of sewing. Yeah. So that's that. I have the micro quilter thread cones from Superior Threads. They are also visible on the website. I also have access to the King Tut if you want King Tut. If there are any kinds of threads you do want me to get in that you're interested in, please let me know. And I carry already the Gutermann hand quilting thread. I have a few colors. My only annoyance with that is for shop owners, they don't sell the hand quilting thread from Gutermann in a rack. I have to supply the rack, and it's just like the same rack that you would hang in your house. So I need to expand that. And the Gutermann hand quilting thread is a great price point. It's a consistent supply. There's a few odd hand quilters. It's not their favorite, but they'll use it if they have to. And technically, you can actually hand quilt with the Aurifil thread. You can hand quilt with anything, really. You can treat it. The only thing you can't do is put the treated hand quilting thread in your sewing machine. But other than that, if you put it in your sewing machine, you can hand quilt with it. It just, some of it's just a pain to work with. As they say, it's a real bitch to work with. For the old school hand quilters, some of the newer generation these days are doing what they call big stitch quilting. They're using 30 weight and 12 weight thread. 12 weight is practically embroidery thread to do big stitch quilting with it or slow stitching. Shout out to Darcy Hunter, artist, local here. She's been doing a lot of slow stitch workshops. I have on my list. I want to see if she'll come in and do something for us, but since there's only room for 4, for some external teachers, that's not enough for them to teach the class, unfortunately, but we'll see what we can do. So yeah, I am working on that class schedule too. I am behind on that, sorry. It's coming. They're starting very, very soon, like next week is when I'm supposed to be starting classes. So yeah, the basics are coming. The other fun things that are coming is the once a month, I am starting a Scrappy Club. It is going to be on the last Monday of the month. So I think that's the 29th. Let me look at my calendar. I will email you about this too. Yep, it's the 29th. So Monday the 29th at 6 p.m., we will have our first meeting of the Scrappy Club. You do have to pay. But once a month, I will give you a pattern. So you're just basically paying for the pattern and to come here. I haven't finalized the price. Bring your scraps. Sewing machine is optional. It depends on, do you want to get some sewing done or do you just want to sort your scraps and get everything organized so that, you can go away and work on your quilt. So the idea was just going to meet for a couple hours or so because I like to go to bed early. And start a scrappy quilt to help you use up your scraps. So we will meet every month. I will give you a new pattern every month to help you eat those scraps. I know. I confess I did buy a program for this, so I don't have to come up with all the ideas myself. Money well spent. Because I will agonize over the details. You know I will. For some reason, this is all pie themed, the thing I got. So there's a pie recipe. Maybe we'll have pie. Who knows? But just going to finalize what pattern we're going to start with. And you just bring some scraps. If you want to trade scraps, more the better. Like, yeah. So more details will come on that. I'm going to be sending you more emails than necessary this month. Please don't unsubscribe. It'll only be temporary just to get the stuff notified and out the door. Block of the month, I said we would start some in January, but I'm not done with last year's. So mentally for me, if I can finish those guys before I start the next one, that is better. At least for the ones that I've developed in-house and the one that we've currently been doing that we need to run again with tons of options. Anyway, more's coming. It'll happen, I promise. There are also, you may have seen me mentioned, 2 block of the months coming this summer from Free Spirit. One is from the So Kind of Wonderful people, and one is the Big Woods Project from somebody who does a lot of applique, I guess. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. But it's all done in Tula Pink fabrics, and I will have the kits for that. So you can make it, but there's going to be a limited amount, and there's plenty of time because that's like June and July. So I darn well better have my own block of the months going before then. If I can start one in February and maybe one in March, that'll be great. So the 2 that are mine that we've done before are the Scrappy Star one, which I wrote all myself. That one I won't be providing the fabric, so I might be able to get that started this month, maybe. You just get the pattern every month. You can use scraps, you can use whatever, but I don't supply you with the fabric. You just get the pattern every month. And at the end, you have explored a bajillion ways to make fat quarters, a bajillion ways to make flying geese. And you've used up a ton of your scraps. And you make a queen size quilt out of that. The other one that people are waiting for is the Return to Simpler Times that you may have seen made with 30s fabrics. I've got some alternate suggestions for the next round. And depending on what's left, I still have to sit down and see if I can do at least one completed kit for those who I like the block of the month concept. I love this quilt. I just want to buy the kit outright. And for those who I just want the pattern, I'll figure out the fabric on my own. I don't want to do the block of the month. So those things are coming, and you can see that's like 3 days of brain work, at least for me. I don't know about you. And that's like 3 solid days with somebody supplying me snacks. Also meds. That would help. Yes, that would help. And in closing, I've actually been sewing as well, and if it's going to be slow this morning, I know I have a lot to catch up on, but I might actually spend a half an hour or so sewing because it is soothing and it is something that we need to do. And we need to take time for ourselves. Yeah, even when there is tons of stuff. So you may have seen before Christmas, it's nice having assistants and people who work with you because I have a few of these patterns. So one thing as a shop owner that you do is you run around and you go, especially for quilt shops, do we have a lot of a particular pattern? And do we have a lot of this whatever fabric? And can we find two that match? So we have a lot of this pattern. We have a few copies. It takes a jelly roll. We had a lot of this jelly roll because I overbought this particular jelly roll, remember? So Snowy has picked out a non-traditional background fabric, this lovely peach. I have done all the blocks. I just have to sew the blocks together. You can see that, see there's that peach color right in that block. So we can do the layout. And honestly, one jelly roll will make two of these quilts. Like, you only need half the jelly roll. Yeah, you need 22.5-inch strips. You can even do it in scraps if you want. So if you have a jelly roll laying around, consider this, you know, 250. It's 250, like seriously. It's one of these pattern cards. It's old stock, basically, from one of the old shops that I bought out like nigh on 4 years ago now. Can you believe it? I can't hardly believe it. This is amazing. Wow. Anyway, so my goal this year is to help you use up your stash, to use your scraps. We've got lots going on. I will give you recaps. You don't just have to remember it from this video because I do have to reinforce it multiple times because I know some of you only half listen. Some of you don't watch to the end. And those of you who get the newsletter, you actually do have to read it. Don't forget that part. Sometimes you have to like take notes and put things in your calendar. The amount of people who knocked on the door while we were here and closed was more than fingers I have on one hand. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. We had to lock the door at one point because people kept coming in like, what do you mean you're closed? Like, yes, there's a sign. Curtains are closed. Stuff was in front of the door. It's nice to be loved. It is. It is lovely to be needed. So that is that. I will leave you with that. I haven't really looked at what's going on outside. I kept looking that direction because I kept hearing a beep beep and I didn't know if the snowplow guy was here yet because our parking lot is not plowed yet. So I might go home at lunch. I don't know. I will post on our Facebook page. Everything's up in the air for today because it's a snow day. Stay safe. If you don't have to go out, please don't. Any of this can wait until tomorrow. And honestly, if you wait until tomorrow, I might actually get more of my act together and be able to send you some emails. I owe tons of people tons of emails. I am slowly getting to them. On snow days like this, that's when I can do that sort of thing. So, wow, it's a longer video too. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get a snack, get my tea, say hi to my husband. He's sending me messages wondering what the heck I'm doing. He's cute. Yeah, and then I'm going to sew a little bit and then I'm going to tackle my to-do list and see where we're at for them. Okay? So, yeah, it's January. We're hitting the ground running. More good stuff is coming. The rest of the month's going to be great. And of course, snow days are so days. The shop is technically open, but please stay home. Please check our page later in the day. This is Wednesday, by the way. If you were watching this on not Wednesday and it's not snowing, I'm probably open. But for today, I'm just going to stay here till probably lunch. And I know a lot of places have a delayed opening until lunch. But depending on how the weather changes between now and lunch and what it's like at lunchtime, I might be here. I might decide to go home if it got worse. I might close early. Who knows? It's January in Canada. That's just how the snowflakes fall. But I will blow my nose with my Kleenex. One more sniff for my mother to roll her eyes at. Put my hat on. Stick my head out the window. Get my coffee. No, it's not coffee, it's tea. And I will catch you later, okay? Toodles, love ya, Mom. Love you, quilty friends, all you fabric nerds. There's more happening. We're just getting started. Lots of exciting things. Woo! Dig out your sewing stuff. Clean, organize. You don't have to sew, but go pet some fabric today. Love ya. Appreciate ya. I can't find my button. That's why I'm still talking. Okay. I will see you next week, if not sooner. Sign up for the newsletter. We'll get a recap on Friday. Later, taters. Dun, dun, dun. There's the button. Okay.